Hello, I'm Michael Rashad, and welcome to The World According to Me.
Today I'm going to talk about snakes and politicians. It might surprise you to know that politicians and snakes have many things in common. The first of these is they are both completely spineless. In fact, if snakes could stand up, they would be politicians. With that said, isn't it amazing how politicians manage to stay upright? Perhaps that is why so many of them walk around with a permanently pained expression on their faces. It could also be said that politicians stand for nothing. If snakes could stand up, they would be going around the country, making speeches full of empty promises and raising lots of money. As soon as they got elected though, they would turn into ostriches, just like all politicians. Both snakes and politicians like to hide in dark places. Snakes do so to get out of the heat and wait for some unsuspecting meal to wander past. Politicians do so for the same reason, only the meal in question is Joe Public, otherwise known as you. The politician's equivalent of a rattle is when they open their mouths. When their lips are moving, they are lying. Both politicians and snakes are venomous. Snake venom is likely to finish you off quickly, whilst politicians' venom often takes a very long time, leaving you struggling with years of apathy, disappointment and frustration. Snakes lie on the ground but don't know how to lie. Politicians lie all the time and don't know how to tell the truth. Snakes like to lie in the grass. Politicians are snakes in the grass. When you hear a rattlesnake rattling, you know there is danger around you. Politicians don't have rattles, though they should be fitted with them the day before taking office. Unfortunately, for that to happen a law would need to be passed, and guess who'd have to pass it? Snakes like to hide in cans. Politicians like to kick those down the road and let somebody else do the cleanup. Snakes don't care about money or power. Politicians care about nothing else. Snakes slither. Have you ever watched a politician walk through the halls of power? They slink, which is quite similar to slithering. If a politician gets behind you, watch out. They are about to stab you in the back. Snakes are solitary creatures and don't hunt in packs. Politicians like to surround themselves with others of their kind. Snakes hunt for food. Politicians hunt for money. While they like power, they love money. Politicians always have a screwdriver in their pocket looking for somebody, anybody, male or female, to use it on. Show me a politician who believes in something other than getting rich. Go on, I dare you. That would be like looking for a needle in the middle of the Pacific Ocean during a storm. Snakes and politicians are both without scruples. We can include lawyers here, as most politicians practiced law before taking office. I didn't say they were any good at it, I just said they practiced it. Show me a politician with integrity and I'll show you an imposter. Show me a politician who will give you a straight answer to a simple question. Okay, that's rhetorical because there is no such animal. Doctors and politicians are somewhat similar. Doctors live by the Hippocratic Oath and politicians live by the hypocritical one. Do you know the difference between a tragedy and a catastrophe? Imagine this. A group of big donors and their lobbyists charter a luxury liner for a 4-day cruise to Bermuda. All of their guests are their paid-for politicians. Each guest is given a suitcase to take their vacation purchases home. The ship is going to Bermuda so all the guests can put the money they found in the suitcases in their offshore accounts without having to make a special trip. Halfway there, the ship hits an iceberg and sinks. Hey, with global warming, it might yet happen. That would be a tragedy. A catastrophe would be if anybody other than the crew could swim. Politicians are always accusing others of their own behaviors. It's a classic case of misdirection. I'm convinced that many of them have gone to magic school to improve their skills in this area. As you might have gathered by now, I don't much care for politicians. I much prefer snakes. At least you know what you're getting with a snake. I suppose that is also true of politicians. I still prefer snakes. Before I go though, I'd like to sincerely apologize to all the snakes in the world. Comparing you to politicians isn't really fair, but you have to admit there are many similarities. If you're a politician and have been offended by this, good, I will have done my job. Now if you would only do yours, that really would be a miracle.